Did you know that the ancient Chinese had some pretty interesting views on sex and love? In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the most fascinating secrets of ancient China when it comes to sex and relationships. If you're curious, stay tuned. Over the last few centuries, Chinese attitudes toward sex and sexuality have shifted dramatically. Things were not what they are today in ancient China. Back then, homosexuality, polyamory, and even marital relationships were common. Sexual intercourse was viewed as a means of spiritual enrichment by the ancient Chinese. Prostitution and brothels in ancient China. Brothels were completely legal and officially registered tax-paying businesses in ancient China. Both prostitutes and clients were respected members of society in the 14th century China, and there was no social stigma attached to it. Both male and female prostitutes were free to conduct their business. In brothels, the royals had their own custom-made beds. Shan Yin, a Sung dynasty princess, had her own private bed at a brothel that could accommodate up to 30 men in charge of pleasing her. If you slept with virgins, would you become immortal? Many historians tell the story that the first emperor of China, known as the Yellow Emperor, thought he became immortal by sleeping with countless virgins. According to Taoism, many men could become immortal by engaging in sexual relations. Women in ancient Chinese religious texts were classified according to their age. Most desirable women were the youngest. As a result, everyone in ancient China preferred the young virgin woman. Men were so generous that they loaned their wives. To put it mildly, people in ancient China were far more hospitable than people in other ancient societies. Local men frequently loaned their wives to visitors and travelers. They regarded travelers as gods and held them in high regard. They were convinced that allowing travelers to sleep with their wives would bring in new blood to the family, indicating a brighter future. Emperors followed a complicated sexual rotation schedule. Emperors in ancient China had extremely complicated schedules to manage their constant sexcapades with thousands of women. Historians estimate that Emperor Suyang II had one chief queen, 6 royal consorts, 72 concubines, and 3,000 palace maids, using wheelchairs to lure virgins. Emperor Suyang II ordered a customized wheelchair to place virgin girls in the desired position for sexual intercourse. It had been dubbed the Virgin Wheelchair by historians. When a young woman sat down on it, clamps sprung up, holding her arms down and spreading her legs apart. Then a mechanized chair cushion tilted her up to the emperor's liking. Men were encouraged to refrain from ejaculating. The ancient Chinese were convinced that releasing too much jing, semen, could result in illness or death. They believed that the semen represented the amount of life left in a body, and that losing it consistently would result in weakness and eventually death. So they advised their men to refrain from ejaculating in order to avoid the negative effects. They believed that keeping the sperm in the body would keep the body and spirit strong. Men and women both freely practiced homosexuality. Homosexuality was not forbidden in ancient China, especially during the Ming, Song, and Qing dynasties. It was common to practice sexual activities with someone of the same sex. Emperors also had a large number of sexual partners of all genders. The male leaders of the Han Dynasty were known to have same-sex partners, and everyone was fine with that. In ancient China, lesbian relationships were neither uncommon nor condemned. However, they were less valued and less common than same-sex relationships between men. Wedding presents included erotic paintings. When a couple got married, they were given erotic images made on silk to learn from and apply in their lives. These wedding gifts included paintings depicting group sex and partner swapping, which were diametrically opposed to the concept of monogamy. Historians can trace the gifting of wedding tiles back to the Eastern Han period. Foreplay started with a woman's mutilated feet. Chinese women were encouraged to bind their feet as tightly as they could, regardless of their socioeconomic status. A lotus foot was a crushed, deformed mound of flesh that was left after achieving the goal, a foot shorter than 4 inches. This wasn't something that only a select few did. At its height, 50% of lower-class women and nearly all upper-class women tied their feet. This bizarre thing is how men thought about them. For ancient Chinese men, these deformed feet were the sexiest things on earth. In ancient China, foreplay had to start with stroking the deformed foot of the partner, and this was well thought of. In fact, during the Qing dynasty, a sex handbook was released with a description of 48 different ways to caress a deformed foot. Some emperors kept the names of their favorite wives. Consorts and concubines, on jade tablets kept in their bedchambers. The most powerful emperors had 50 or more of these tablets. When an emperor chose a woman, he turned over the tablet with her name on a teak table. A eunuch then rushed to the woman's chamber, stripped her clothes to ensure she wasn't hiding a weapon, wrapped her in a gold cloth, carried her through the palace because she couldn't walk with her bound feet, and placed her at the foot of the emperor's bed. The eunuch then recorded the date in order to later determine whether or not the emperor was the father of any children born to the woman. So guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. For more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.